I have right now what I believe to be the worst toothache I've ever had in my life. All I have to do is get through this weekend, and thankfully I have a dentist appointment on Tuesday. Well, hopefully they will just pull teeth out of my head. Anyway, who likes going to the dentist? Hey everybody, it's GrimmGreen from GrimmGreen.com, new and improved GrimmGreen.com. I don't know why I say that. Back here today, got some very cool stuff to talk about. Got to give a shout out to Rebel Vapes. It's a clothing company, not a vendor, clothing company. They make vape-related clothing. This, for some reason, has a green sugar skull type thing on it, but Rebel Vapes clothing. Figured I'd rock their shirt today. No big deal. What I want to talk to you about today, first Sunday double feature, is a rebuildable, but it's not a rebuildable in the sense that this is a rebuildable and you can build this atomizer and you can put it on things. This is kind of an all-in-one unit, kind of like a hybrid, but more of like a dripper hybrid. Anyway, we're going to get all into it. This is the Novice. Getting a shocking amount of performance from this little thing, this tiny little cleanly machined, very sleek bottom button rebuildable dripping hybrid thing. Getting a shocking amount of performance. Everybody knows, and I always say this in my videos, a rebuildable is only as good as the coil that you build on it. Meaning you can buy a really, really expensive rebuildable and build a junky coil and it's going to perform like junk. It's not the rebuildable's fault. It's that there's a junky coil on there. Or you can buy a cheaper rebuildable. Buy a Phoenix version 1. You can get them for like $3 now. Build a wicked good coil on it and it's going to vape much better. So everything anybody ever says about rebuildables on performance or epic clouds of vapor, it's based on the coil that they've built on it. Now granted, some rebuildables give you a better platform or deck, D-E-C-K, to build your coils on, rather than others have weird fiddly things like the octopus and there's holes and then you have to wrap, and so they're not all created equally, but a rebuildable is only as good as the coil that you built on it. And I just freshly built this coil on it. Turned out really good. I don't know the ohms because this is a dripper hybrid. So this is one basically machined top piece. This right here is all one piece. The atomizer that you build is under here, and I'm not going to pull this off because there's juice in there, and if I pull this off, juice is going to go everywhere. But you'll see when we get uppy closey how this kind of all works together. This is one thing. This is designed to go only with this. It takes one 14500 battery, which we're going to talk about the batteries in a minute. It takes one 14500 battery, runs at only an unregulated 3.7 volts or 4-ish volts, maybe freshly off the charger. Bottom mounted switch with a locking button, and you build your coil up here. Let me take one toot and we're going to go uppy closey. In fact, maybe I'll use the toot as a transition. That might be my new thing that I just invented off the top of my head.
So here we are up close with the Novice. It's going to be hard to put across how actually small this little tiny device is. You can see it in my hand. It's pretty small. It's a 510 atomizer. It's about the length of two 510 atomizers. So quite small indeed. Switch is on the bottom. It's locking. Screw this down and locks just like that. You can set it down with no worries of firing it. Screw this back up and just switches just like that. One thing that I've noticed about the switch, unless you're hitting it dead center, it tends to be a little bit crunchy. I don't know if that sound is picking up, but if you hit it dead center, it's pretty smooth, but if you're hitting it off on the side, it's a little bit crunchy. So battery goes in here. There is a tiny little vent hole for the battery right here, and then up here contained in the top is the fatty portion of it where you rebuild your atomizer, and there's that new fatty slot airflow hole, and a red drip tip just for no reason. It's just a China red drip tip. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a new coil on this, but before we get to that, I'm going to take the battery out and show you kind of the problem I've been running into with the Novice, and that is that juice has been leaking down in here. Now, this top portion is proprietary, which means it doesn't come off. You can only use this top fatty portion. It's part of the Novice. It's basically a dripping hybrid, which means that this is all you get. You have a platform up here to build, you have a battery, and you have a switch, and that's it. You can't put a 510 atomizer on here, you can't put a tank on here, you can't put anything on here. And what I've noticed is that juice has been leaking down there, and I have some pictures of it when it was at its worst, but I have a feeling that when I unscrew this that we're going to see some juice on the top of the battery. So the threads are kind of in the middle. Oh yeah, look at that. Look how juicy that is. Is that showing up? Yeah. So juice kind of all over the top of the battery. So we'll take care of that. I've never seen it get below the threads. There's a little bit of juiciness right there, which is bumming me out. Bumming me out. Just juice on your battery is never something you really want to see. Now, if you're building this with some low ohm stuff, you're going to need to get the right battery. Now, the only battery I've found, the only 14500 I've found, are these eFest batteries because they have a higher amp limit inside of them, and they'll fire. I've tried it. I've tried this particular low ohm build, which again I don't know the ohms of because you can't plug it onto my little ohm meter, and I am too dumb to use a multimeter on them. So I'm assuming this one is around 0.6, 0.7 ohms, and these eFest 14500 batteries are the only batteries I've tried that will actually fire the device. And if you look in here, there's going to be some juice in there. I mean, there's going to be quite a bit of juice in there, and I don't know quite what's going on or why it's leaking or any such nonsense, but I've had to at least every week, clean out all the juice from the inside of here. And it gets annoying, and it's on your battery, and that's not something that I really desire to see. But it is what it is. So before I take this off, nobody make fun of me. I go way too long on a coil, and this one's going to be kind of gross and black. That's just held on. Top cap's held on by O-rings, kind of like the fatty. As you can see, yes, that's the blackened coil that I've been using on there. And one thing that I really like about the fatty, which is why I'm changing it, one thing I really like about the fatty is you only need one tool, really. It's this Allen key that comes with it. And we're going to unscrew these posts, and we're going to get this coil off of here. That's right, I'm whistling Gautier, no big deal. So we're going to take this coil off. Bye-bye coil. I've been using that coil for a while, a couple of weeks, and I'm not going to go through the process of really washing this off. I don't mind if there's a little bit of residual juice because I'm going to be using the same juice as I was before. So juice is somehow leaking through that center area, and I don't know why, because it's wicked snug. There's no play in it. It goes all the way through, but there's juice. I mean, you saw it for yourself. There is juice going through there. So when we build a coil on there, I'm using a 1.5 millimeter silica. I got some 29 gauge Canthal. I'm gonna pull off a portion of it like this. One thing that you can do that I sometimes do but usually don't is you can torch your Canthal to get rid of that springiness that Canthal inherently has. So when you're building it and you're trying to wrap your coil, the springiness will sometimes mess you up a little bit depending on what you're doing, but you can torch it and it will get rid of most of that springiness. I'm just gonna take my wick, maybe fold it over on itself once like that. I mean, this is the way I do it. This is the way I've always done it. There's really, there's purists, I guess, that will wrap it around a nail or get mad if you do it a different way, but this is the way that I've done it that works for me, and it's just fine. It is just fine. So, like I said, I'm shooting for some pretty low ohms on this, so I'm only going to do like a 3 wrap. 1, 2, zip, yep. Something like that. I feel like that looks pretty good. We can always poke and prod later once we get it going on the device. And of course, I have these wicked long legs because I always use too much. I always use too much Canthal. And it doesn't really matter what side you place it on because your airflow hole, which allow me to clean out really quickly because I don't want juice flowing everywhere. You're just going to line up your airflow hole with wherever you put the coils. One thing I've noticed is that the O-rings on this seem to be stronger than other fatties. It doesn't come off quite as easy. It does take a little bit of effort, which I actually like, but there you go. So as you can see, the platform where you build your coil is part of the device. So when it's all together like this, it kind of is reminiscent of a hybrid in that you have a battery and then you have a platform on top where you build your coil, and that's it. It's a very sort of minimal design, I suppose. But we're going to I'm going to do my best here to attach this to the top portion. Nope. Okay, well, there you go. Well, it'll be something like that. And we're going to poke, obviously, once we get it up and running. I feel like that's pretty good. Just leave it how it is. I'm going to go ahead and use the Scott method and twist these legs off just like that. So now it's connected. I'm going to put my battery in. We'll just give it some test fires, work out any hot spots, yada, yada, yada. Of course, we'll have to cut this wick down to size. So I want to make sure that it's not touching any places. Just pulse, just pulse. Yeah, getting warm up in there. And that could be because it's boom, that's exactly what you don't want. You see how two are lighting up? but the third one is just lost there. It's not getting any happiness there. So I'm going to poke and fiddle for a second and get this going right. Alright, so all it took was some poking and fiddling, and all three light up pretty evenly now. One thing you have to do with the fatty is lift the whole coil up just a little bit so it's not touching the base, but at the same time you also don't want it touching the posts. So it takes a little bit of fiddliness, but it seems to be glowing pretty well. So I'm going to cut off these the excess here. Yeah, I don't want to leave that one too long either. Good enough for me. So I'm going to get some juice using the same juice, and everyone asks. So this is Glacier Banana. Just going to wet up the coil real good. Real good. Yep. Boom. Just vaporliciousness. Shocked by the performance of this, really. If you go for the low ohm stuff, I mean, that's only 3 wraps with 29 gauge Canthal. So I'm guessing it's above like 0.5, but it's below like 0.9. This is probably, if I had to make my best guess, somewhere in the 0.6 to 0.7 range. But boom, just exploding with vapor over and over again. One thing is, when you are actually have juice on here, you don't want to see any red glowingness. That's only when you're testing out the coils. Once juice gets on here, you don't want any redness. So as you can see, just kind of throwing out vapor like crazy. We're going to put this all back together. Again, line up your airflow slot right with the coil. And boom, I mean, you're done. Let's vape this.
So that was how I built this exact coil that I'm using right now. And I don't know how to check the ohms on it because, like I said, I'm an idiot and I don't know how to use a multimeter. I should probably learn how to do that, and I'm sure that I could sit down and do it. But if you're proficient with building coils, you can generally build the same ohms repeatedly if you do it enough. I know that when I use the 29 gauge Canthal, if I do the 2-3 wrap, it'll get me something wicked low like 0.5, 0.6, maybe in the 0.7 ohm range. So I'm kind of in that area of ohmage on this. And it's using one single 14500 battery, and in any other application, the 14500 battery is kind of it's not really here nor there. It's not really impressive. Let me get this one off the charger. It's not really impressive. It's about the size of a AA battery. They usually have something like 400 or 500 mAh or milliamp hours on it. So you're not going to get more than a couple hours. You might not even get more than a single hour of top peak performance before the battery starts dying and before your performance on your rebuildable goes down just a little bit. The Novice is strangely fascinating to me. I'll be 100% completely honest. If I didn't have this in my hand right now, if OKC Vapes hadn't just sent it to me, I would probably not have a whole lot of interest in the Novice, and that's a shame, and that makes me think that I need to broaden my horizons as far as what looks interesting and what doesn't look interesting, because this is incredibly interesting. It's like a hybrid dripper. Hybrid meaning it's all one piece and it's a dripper. It's machined really, really well. All the lines are very, very clean. Has a little slot for airflow, has a little slot for battery venting failures, has a switch on the bottom, and the switch, this little buttery smooth threads right here. Boom, just all the way down, and now it's completely locked. The button kind of gets crunchy sometimes. And if you use a bottom button mechanical mod, you know what crunchy means. By stark contrast, the Titan, still just buttery smooth on that button. This one, like I was showing you in the uppy closey, if you hit it off to the side, it's a little bit crunchy. I found a place where I can just grab it like this, use my little ringy finger here, right on that knuckle, press it in, and it's smooth. If you hit it right in the middle, just like that, it's very smooth. Look, let me take one more toot. We're going to wrap this up. Just ridiculous good performance. The draw on these fatty top caps with the stripe, I'm not trying to sound like a fanboy, it's phenomenal. It's just a really good draw. Really good platform to build a coil on. It's super simple. If I can do it, a lot of people are going to be able to do it. Nice draw, very small form factor. Now this isn't going to be a mod that you use every day unless you want to carry around more batteries. The battery life on this is going to be junky just because it's a small battery. It just is. There's no way around it. Unless someday they come out with an 18650, hint, hint, dripping hybrid, Chris's Creations, if you're listening. If they made a nice 18650 version of this, I would use it way more. As it stands, I've taken it out of the house a couple of times to work and used it sparingly because I've been afraid of the battery life. 90% of the time, it sits on my desk. And I can easily swap out batteries on the charger, and I can use it and enjoy it from the comfort of my own home. I could see this being a relatively classy mod. This might be something that you sit at the blackjack table with. You know what I mean? You go to the casino, you have a cocktail, or if you don't drink, you don't have a cocktail. You have your classy little vape right here, and you go, oh, yes. Oh, no, I'll stand. Oh, I busted? Oh, so it's very, very cool. It's just not very realistic as an everyday vape. Do you know what I mean? Is that making sense? I don't want to get rambling here. I want to cut myself off before I get to the rambling. The last thing I want to touch very lightly on is the batteries. Now, when you're building these low ohm coils, like I've done on here, and you don't have to do, you can build a 1.5 ohm coil and rock it with any 14500 battery that you can. But if you're going to build the low ohm coils, then you're going to need a battery with a higher amp limit. These eFests work great. The red AWIMR batteries do not work great, but these black AW batteries happen to work really good. I mean, I get the same performance from the eFest. Whew, did you hear that? I've never noticed that. Why is that happening to me right now? I think these threads need some Noah locks, but that's oh, I should stop doing that. It's probably annoying. I get the same performance from this little black AW 14500 battery as I do from the eFest 14500 battery. And I have a feeling that's because they have a similar amperage output. And when we're on batteries, you'll want to use nipple top batteries or button top batteries. Flat top batteries, they don't quite work at all. They just don't make a connection. It's just a really good vape. If it used a better battery and didn't leak juice onto said battery, it would be a no-brainer. If this was an 18650 hybrid fatty dripper that was completely sealed and didn't leak, no questions asked. Everyone should buy one. I would buy one. As it stands, it's a small 14500, piddly battery life, good performer. I can't figure out where that juice is coming from. I look in there, looks all sealed up. I look on the top, it looks all sealed up. I see no reason why there should be getting juice anywhere down in there. But the fact of the matter is that I've taken it apart and there's been juice down in there. Chris, can chime in. But that's what I got. This video is way too long already. Fatty hybrid style dripper. It's called the Novice. It's from oak wire, some juice, and some batteries before you really get this cooking. I like that the top cap is very secure feeling. Never had a rebuildable with that secure of a top cap. You can just pull your drip tip and drip on and off. It's phenomenal. Got mixed feelings on it. I love using it. I wish it had a bigger battery and I wish it didn't leak juice. I'm going to cut this off before I start rambling. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. As always, let's keep on vaping.